Okay, we're gonna get started. Good evening and welcome to our Council and Committee of the Whole meeting for June 2nd, 2026. Bienvenue à notre réunion de conseil pour le deuxième juin. To begin this evening, we will have our land acknowledgement by Councillor Larrabee, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The land acknowledgement. As we meet today, I would like to take a moment to recognize the importance of the land on which we are gathered. The municipality of West Nipissing fully acknowledges that we are located on homelands of the Anishinaabe peoples, on the traditional territory of Nipissing, Tamagami, and Okies First Nation, covered by the Robinson-Huron Treaty. We honor and recognize their historical connection to the land, the value their significant contribution in shaping and strengthening our communities. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility towards reconciliation and improving our understanding of local Indigenous people and their culture.
Merci beaucoup. Next, we'll take declarations of pecuniary interest. Councillor Rivard.
Yeah, I submitted my paperwork for number 4.1, the short-term rental.
Thank you. And I've also submitted paperwork for 4.1.1 as well. Councillor St. Louis.
And I submitted for 4.3.1.
Okay, thank you very much. Any others? Okay, moving on. We do have an addendum for this evening that was sent this afternoon and a hard copy on your desk. Madam Clerk. Oh, sorry. Madam Clerk.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is moved by Councillor Pellerin and seconded by Councillor Gagne. Be it resolved that the addendum for the Council and Committee of the Whole meeting held on June the 2nd, 2026 be adopted as presented.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
It is moved by Councillor Gagne and seconded by Councillor Pellerin. Be it resolved that the agenda for the Council and Committee of the Whole meeting held on June 26th, 2026, June 2nd, 2026 be adopted as presented.
Great. Questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Okay, next, we will move to Committee of the Whole. We'll start with General Government. We do have a fairly heavy agenda this evening. The first item on the agenda for General Government is 4.1.1. Given the fact I've declared a conflict on this, I will ask Councillor Gagne to share.
Yep, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
So we have a delegation at last meeting from the Muskoka Lake Association. And at this moment, I will open it up for any questions by councilmen. See you next week.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor. Okay. I had a good discussion with a gentleman that came in to do our presentation, and what he proposed to me makes a lot of sense. This is why I'm here tonight, to ask for your support on this. And if I may read it. Subsequent to the technical presentation from the Lake Muskasongs Association outlining the degraded environmental state of our sensitivity of our small lakes in West Nipissing to further nutrient loading, and whereas my own consultation of constituents and my ward concluded that there is a strong interest in the environmental protection of these small lakes, this motion proposed that small lakes less than 2,000 hectares in size be exempt from the short-term rentals. On this amendment, and council moved to create a local citizens group, which he is willing to spearhead, the gentleman that we had here, Mr. Young, to do this. So his idea is to bring forward a plan that would sustain our small lakes. For now, it would exclude putting short-term rentals on those small lakes because there would be a lot of pressure on them, which there is none currently on those small lakes. But if there is, they would be grandfathered in. And just like they did years ago with West Nipissing, with Lake Nipissing, they signed memorandum of understanding with First Nation, with the MNR, and they protected that lake for pickerel. Now it's coming back. There's good fishing for everyone in Lake Nipissing. So it's working on a positive way. So what he's asking to do in our small lakes that we have, and I do have quite a few in my ward, and also in Ward 5, if we could create this group, and he's willing to spearhead it with other association, from Clear Lake Association, Muscatine Lake Association, and the Tomico Lake, get them all working together so we could have in the later years, our municipality will be able to host a lot of business from these small lakes, but to keep it balanced, no overfishing, and protecting the bed and the spawning bed. So this is what I have to bring forward. I'd like to have the support of council on this one.
Okay, thank you, Conseiller Larrabee. Any other, Conseiller Fagan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, I'm gonna repeat what I said when we had the delegation. I disagree with that. I think the evidence is clear that the problem is not the problem with ours is not with small lakes. They are total outside of Lake Nipissing, the West Arm, and French River. I believe there's 2 short-term rentals in all of the small lakes that are away from Lake Nipissing. The changes we're making to the short-term bylaw is not going to result in 15 short-term rentals on Lake Muscatine. We have the bylaw is sustainable because we have a cap of 100 licenses for the entire municipality. So if we start enforcing the bylaw in terms of those who don't have a license, the bulk of those licenses will be taken up by the 100 or I estimate about over 100 short-term rentals in the Lake Nipissing system. So, we have safeguards in terms of septic systems. And, I don't believe in exempting the small lakes when I don't feel that causing a problem. And I find it ironic in a way because we are about to pass a new official plan that allows waterfront properties to have an extra AR unit, an extra residential unit on each waterfront property. I think if anything, that will affect the small lakes much more than the short-term rental bylaw. So, I think in the interest of fairness, I think there's an element here of not in my backyard. And in the interest of fairness, I don't think we should install. I think the evidence is just not there. Otherwise, I'm happy with the rest of the changes in the draft.
Thank you, Conseiller Fagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What was the gentleman's name again that he knows? So Mr. Fillon was they got an association from Sheboygan Lake, which I believe Muscatine, which I believe that everyone on that lake is in the association except one.
Except what?
So all we have to do is just put an exception for that lake. There's no Airbnb because everybody's there. They don't want any. So let's put a one on that lake. There's no Airbnb because all of them are there. Simple.
So you're saying we,
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. I understand your chain of thought, Conseiller Pellerin, but if there's only one, if there's 35 individuals on that lake, 34 of them don't want Airbnb, then why even exclude them? The 34 will say, no, we don't want Airbnbs. So why exclude them? So that leaves one that might. I don't think we should exclude them just in case if somebody does sell 10 years down the road, and now we're maybe two on that lake short-term, right? So if everybody on that committee is saying, no, we don't want it, okay, then just don't do it. That's my opinion. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Conseil Resto.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I agree completely with the comments just made by Councillor St. Louis and the comments that were made by Councillor Fennec a couple minutes ago. 34 don't want it and 34 don't do it, then you're not gonna have, you might have one on the lake. And I'm fairly certain that one short-term rental is not gonna cause significant damage to the lake. So I'm in agreement with Councillor Fennec's suggestion just to accept the changes as they've been proposed.
Thank you, Conseil Lagavie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to prove to you that he's not doing it for his lake. I hate to use that word, his lake, just to prove to you he's not doing it for him. He wants to do it for every small lake under 2,000 hectares. And he feels, and he's got the science, he's got the qualification, and he's proven that the lakes, the small lakes are in danger and we need to protect them. This is all he wants to do. He knows that there's only one, well, and they're flying illegally apparently on that lake, there's one. But the rest, he's worried about the other lakes. He's not only worried about Muskasong Lake, he's worried about Deer Lake and Paradise Lake and Cache Lake. These are all the small lakes that he is worried about. So if he would only be thinking of himself, he would only think about the lake that he's on, but he's not. So he's asking council to believe the scientific fact that he brought to move forward, not to move in businesses. Like if we need to put the business aside when it comes to protecting our lakes and our land. That's what I heard yesterday.
Thank you. Councillor Fennec.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I dispute that he brought some scientific facts. We don't know that. But I'll also point out that Clear Lake Cottagers Association, a lake that is much more densely populated than Lake Muskasong, has over 100 properties, have no objection to these changes. They did not bring one single objection along the lines that Mr. Fillon did. And Cache Lake and Deer Lake, I believe, were contacted and they didn't reply. So I'm assuming that they had no objections either. If they had serious objections, we would have heard from them. So again,
Just for clarification,
Madam Clerk.
the Cache Lake does not have a cottagers association,
Okay.
formal cottagers
Okay.
association.
Thank you.
but Deer
No.
Lake had
Is that good, Conseil Fennec? Okay. Councillor Nicol, go ahead.
Thank you. I was just wondering, is Lake Nipissing the only one that's over 2,000 hectares, or are there other ones?
Nobody seems to know the actual size of the lake.
Okay, and then next question is, so the ones under 2,000 hectares is Cache Lake, Deer Lake, Muskasong, and Tomiko? Is that the other one?
Yes.
Okay. Could we maybe make different limits for under 2,000 and then over 2,000? Would that be an option?
Yeah, go ahead, Conseil Fennec.
I would say, I don't think it's necessary. And we're discriminating against certain lakes, and I don't think it's based on any factors that are, in my mind, are a risk factor for the environment. There's many more than those four. There's Tanner Lake, there's and I think you have a lot of small lakes. There's a lot. There's no doubt. But I don't believe in addressing a problem that's not there. There is no problem with the small lakes because that's not where the demand for short-term rentals is.
Okay, thank you. Anything else to add, Councilor Nicol?
No, thank you.
Okay, so we have a few items.
Just got one more
Okay,
comment.
Councilor
on the
Lagacé,
last.
you spoke twice, you can't speak 3, 4, 5, 6 times, so
Yeah,
go
on
ahead,
the last
but then,
comment, yeah.
yes, I will ask the councillors to vote on the suggestions.
Okay.
Because we need to move this forward, so go ahead.
Thank you. The thing is that a short-term rental, it's one short-term rental, but you're bringing in a lot of people in that short-term rental. What they're asking is for the West of Pacific that lives there, not bringing people from the south, and that's what's happening. When you have a short-term rental, you have a very big increase on the lake. And this is what he's trying to, until the lake gets good results, and he will monitor it. And this is why he wants to get all the association together. They will monitor the lake. When the lake, they'll have to put some barriers at some point where there's a fish habitat, so people don't go in there, to bring it back up. Once the lake is in good condition, yes, let's bring it more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other additional comments that want to be made? Okay, I will make my own comment and then I will go through the items that have been suggested. So, I agree with Conseiller Ferrand. Monsieur Fillon did a good presentation. I'm not sure it's scientific evidence, maybe potentially, but I think that Muskasong Lake Association should have been looking at their lakes 5, 10, 15 years ago and not wait till there's a short-term bylaw that they think will maybe impact their lakes. I think they should try to fix their lakes now because there is currently no official short-term rental on there. So that is my comment. And I agree also that the other lake association or residents that don't have a lake association could have also shared their personal comments in regards to the short-term ballot, but that wasn't made. So I would like to see a show of hands to see who's in favor of excluding Lake Muskoka from the current short-term rental. Please raise your hand to exclude them. Muskasong, sorry. So there is no appetite to that. Any appetite to exclude multiple smaller lakes in the area from the short-term rental, please raise your hands. 1, 2, so that is not passed. Any other last comment in regards to the short-term rental or any changes that was recommended for a short-term rental review that anybody would like to add? Conseiller Ferrand.
Was some concern that I've heard that maybe increasing the limit to 3 per owner was maybe a little bit too much. So I don't have a strong view either way, whether we should or we should change it to 3 or maybe 2, but maybe it's something that you want to consider.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any comments on Conseiller Ferrand's potential recommendation from lowering it from 3 to 2 per owner? Show of hands who wants to keep it at 3. Oh, sorry, Conseiller Ferrand.
Just, if it stays at 3. We have something on the owner where the residence is where he resides.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the clause was amended to read, notwithstanding any other provision, any owner of 3 licenses may not reside outside the municipality of West Nipissing.
That was, yeah,
That was discussed at the,
so the wording means it must be a resident from West Nipissing.
that's correct.
And if for some reason they go out of town, what's the backup for this?
Through you, Mr. Chair, every person has to have a designated responsible person assigned to that dwelling. My assumption is that if the designated responsible, one would hope that if the designated responsible person goes out of town for the weekend, he's gonna tell somebody. But there's nothing in the bylaw to control the comings and goings of that person.
Okay, any other questions? I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, so this three, you reside in West Nipissing. You reside in West Nipissing and have your home and have an additional 3 short-term? You know what I mean?
We're talking about Class B licenses, which are ones you don't live in. So I'm
Okay,
assuming they've somewhere
Okay,
in West
okay.
Nipissing outside those, yeah.
okay, thank you.
Good. So there's any appetite from lowering it from 3 to 2 licensing for short-term rental? Show of hands by counselors. Clear Nickel? Is that a vote? Okay, thank you. Okay, so it will remain at 3. Any other questions or changes to discuss in the short-term rental? Madam Clerk, is there any other clarification that we need or?
And no, sir, I think that we have direction, okay, if everything is discussed, we should really go to the next meeting for adoption.
Okay, final questions or comments before we end the short-term rental bylaw? Thank you very much, everybody. Back to you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to item 4.1.2, which is the property standards bylaw. There's a significant staff report in your packages. And Mr. Pedon, Madam Clerk, would anybody like to kick it off from a staff perspective?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. Just my thanks again to Madam Clerk and her team for really taking a lot of the input from council, in particular from Councilor Fena, to really look at modernizing this particular bylaw, which remains a difficult bylaw for us in our enforcement capacity to kind of jump up on. And I think, again, I think as stated before, there was some really robust revisions made to it previously through previous discussion. And we've added a few suggestions into this particular bylaw. I see that we've also received some last minute information from one of the counselors here with regards to looking at a particular section of bylaw with regards to burnt out, damaged, and otherwise by either fire or storm or other causes. So I think that's something that we can certainly bring into the discussion aside from the comprehensive staff report that Madam Clerk has put together. But I will certainly defer that to Madam Clerk, and I leave it to you, Madam Mayor, to start the discussion based on this comprehensive report.
Thank you very much. I would like to, just before we start, acknowledge the work of Councillor Ferrin, who did a lot of research and worked closely with our staff. What is the current bylaw? When was that adopted? You know?
2003.
2003. So it is a 20-year-old bylaw, and I think it's a really important one to bring it back and make sure the language it has been modernized and line it up with our current enforcement practices as well. But I do want to just acknowledge them that they worked and researched it on this piece. And with that, I will open the floor for questions or comments. Yes, with that.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, 2007 is the conviction.
Thank you, Madam Clerk and Madam Deputy Clerk, for the work you've done on this. And I'm okay with everything in the memo. I think we're there. I think we tiny little issue of language this afternoon with regards to 5.11. And I'm sorry that I didn't do it to Lori, but I had left out something about how we deal with fire damaged buildings and the need for demolition. Because you know, we have had a number of examples of burnt out buildings that have remained as a hazard for too long. Um, and I feel that sometimes these can be a danger, especially for children in a residential neighborhood. I mean, I remember what it was like when I was a kid. Any unusual building attracted kids to go and play in. And I think we need to protect those burnt out buildings and also accelerate and make sure that it's dealt with much quicker. So I propose this afternoon to add some strengthened language surrounding that. I did give a copy to Fire Chief earlier. So I just forgot to copy him on the email, sorry.
Thank you very much. Other questions or comments on the proposed bylaw, the reports, anything, that council would like to see added or? Madam Clerk, Mr. Pilon, is there any additional information you need from, or what would you like to have from us in order to proceed with this law?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think just, I guess, subject to any comments from Fire Chief and or the building inspector regarding this most recent proposed change, because it does address items that are outside of my area of expertise, whether or not council is comfortable with the changes as proposed.
Can I click on you?
Madam Mayor, and thanks for everybody that worked on the bylaw. I think it was due for a revamp or an updated version. My question is more in regards to enforcement. But we know that we've added a lot of items to this bylaw, so I would just like to know have any concerns in regards to enforce this bylaw once it's adopted and accepted. We know we have a lot of
No. We've onboarded an additional bylaw officer. We are in the midst, I will say, of looking at modernizing the entire, I will say, the section of bylaw, inclusion into the AMPS program. So our anticipation that in the very near future, we will be much more robust and have a greater capacity to not only be able to provide a good intake system to the public on these pieces, but also to be able to track, enter into investigations and continue to modernize that approach. Good, from where we have been. Good. So I think appreciate your patience. Very much.
Yeah, I do have a question for probably, I'll go through Mr. Pilon if you'd like to refer it elsewhere. When we did the original AMPS bylaw, the current property standards bylaw was included in that. And were the fines pages and everything updated at that time?
For this bylaw?
Yes.
No, once this new bylaw, sorry, through, if once council adopts this bylaw, I will bring back proposed fines. We haven't got there yet. Once the changes have all been incorporated. Because this bylaw is intended to be enforced under both roads and provincial offenses. So it will have to pass through the provincial offenses office for approval of the proposed fines, at which time, once those fines are approved, we will incorporate them into the AMPS bylaw. We'll make the changes in the AMPS bylaw to include the schedule.
Okay. There is a schedule in the AMPS bylaw,
That's-
the current schedule is there.
That's correct.
Okay, and we will be looking at updating those numbers to make sure that they're relevant and compelling.
Yes, like I said, we're dealing with property with POA, so we will have to remain moderate. And perhaps, I know I'm backtracking, on the STRA, there were proposed, I believe, did I bring the proposed fines? Everybody was good with the proposed fines?
You returned them to the original.
Yes,
Okay, yes, you were
Sorry.
talking.
I forgot to ask the question.
Okay, any other questions or comments on property standards before we move on? So I believe from what I'm seeing around the table, council is comfortable with a draft being presented, or do we need to look at it again? Do you want to see those changes with the fire in it, or do you want it to come back?
If we agree that that can go in as is,
Yeah.
Unless,
Want more time in committee?
no, I don't think it's a.
Fines. Does council want to review the proposed fines before they're submitted to the ministry for
Yes.
approval?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
So can we just bring the fine, just the fines, so like put a version of the bylaw, just in case there's anything that we
Yep.
catch last minute, so we'll put it back in. Or whenever. July meeting, or if we don't do general government generally on,
we do all of the committees and.
yeah, I know, but on June 16th, you won't have fines or anything. Okay, so that'll come back in the July meeting, which is July 14th. Councillor Restwell, sorry, did I miss you earlier?
No, I was just getting clarification myself, listening to when this was gonna come back and what was gonna be included. So we're looking at doing these draft in our email that we got 13.0, 13.2 to be included within our new revised bylaw. Is that correct?
Our newer, sorry, I didn't hear that.
You
You
were
were,
asking whether the proposals by Councillor Ferdinand will be included in the next iteration.
yes, on the with the input from the fire chief. So if there's anything there that catches his attention, but I think council was comfortable with the addition of the burnt out structural stuff. Yes. Okay.
If I
Yeah.
can
So
just-
they,
one quick note or comment.
yeah, sure.
And I'm in agreement with that. I think it's very specific, but in looking at 13.0, it seems like 13.1.2 and 13.1.7 are, it's basically the same thing. One says it'll be repaired or demolished. One says it'll be repaired or demolished within 30 days or extended based on insurance needs. So if we're putting it into ours, if we can, I don't know, maybe take out 13.1.2 because it's repeated at 0.7. Unless I'm reading them all.
Yeah, Madam Clerk, just look, I gave my copy away.
I'll would council mind if I took a closer look at it to make sure that it's not something in one that would, but if it is repetitive, we can certainly take it in.
I'm sorry, and I would say if it's coming back to committee anyway, we can review it, because Madam Clerk and the Deputy Clerk working with Fire Chief may change the wording slightly. Depending on what the needs are. Councillor Fedai?
Thank you, Madam. As long as the 30 days, the 30-day deadline remains, which still gives the chief building official the power to authorize an extension.
Councillor Restwell?
Yeah, I agree with that. My comment, I don't know if I maybe wasn't clear, would be to remove the 13.1.2. Because that just has that it's going to be repaired or demolished. And then the comment that Councillor Fedin just mentioned at 13.1.7, that has the date, the time, 30 days. And I'm okay with that one. It just seems like it's repeated in a watered down version on 13.1.2. But if it's coming back, that's great. We'll have a chance to look at it.
Okay, great. So that will come back in committee on the July 14th meeting. Everybody's comfortable with that? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to 4.1.3, which is the noise control bylaw. Again, a staff report's included in your packages. And Mr. Kilo, Madam Clerk, Any opening?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will echo my comments. We've really taken a lot of big input from the group and Madam Clerk and her team have done a fantastic job of, again, looking towards modernizing this particular bylaw, as you can see from the staff report and highlighted areas. We're just looking for some direction with regards to if there are any issues with some of those additions.
Any questions or comments on the floor? Hey, Councillor Frederick.
Thank you. On the noise bylaw, I still feel that we're not there. I have a number of points that I'd like to raise. The noise control orders.
Can you reference section numbers when you're, just so we can follow along a little bit more easily?
Or can I ask Madam Clerk, it'd be difficult to switch from one screen to the other?
Okay, which,
So, noise control order.
are you referring to the report or the paragraph in the? Okay, well, it's section 11.
The one comment I have about that is a question is what are the consequences of disregarding a noise control? In terms of, will there be a heavier fine? How do we deal with somebody who disobeys a voice control?
Through the chair, typically any order that is issued, if it is not complied with, then it would move to a legal process. Like you'd be into laying charges under the Provincial Offences Act.
Not under ENS.
That would be, this bylaw, I believe was to be, this bylaw actually, I'm sorry, was intended to be only, but even still,
Only,
this bylaw is only under AMPS.
Yep.
It's not being done under POA. I misspoke. If there was an order, there would still be, it's the same as building or anything else. Once an order is issued, it is back into provincial offenses because it's not an unpaid fine.
okay,
It's a refusal to comply.
okay, and then it's left to a judge to decide.
That's correct.
So on the level of fines, I don't think this level of fine will encourage compliance. Especially, we have cases, I am dealing or speaking to residents who are being harassed by their neighbors, intentionally with noise. And they have read the draft, they've read the report, and as I do, they feel that this is not going to protect them. And I just want to, to give a few examples of other municipalities or other cities. Hamilton, up to $10,000 for a first offense and up to $25,000 for a second. Sudbury, maximum fine of $10,000 per day, not exceeding $100,000. Aurora, not less than 500, not more than 10,000. Orangeville, 50,000. Ajax, 100,000. North Bay, 200 to 5,000. And we're looking at 250, 350. This is not going to stop someone who wants to have a loud party with their neighbors, and it's not going to stop commercial events. Feel that $350 is nothing. And they'll willingly pay the $350 to have their event. And it's not going to stop the person who wants to harass their neighbor. So that's my feeling on the level of fines.
Do we have the ability to structure our fines similar to what is done under, say, the building code, which a first offense is something and then a second offense or subsequent offense is a sleeper fine?
If council so wishes. And mind you, because this is being done under AMPS.
Yeah.
There's an appeal process. with the first ticket, if you get the ticket and you don't agree, you can appeal it. It goes to the hearing officer, screening officer. If it's rejected by the screening officer, then goes to the hearing officer. So that first offense under AMPS, it would have to go through its chain of events.
I just wonder whether that might not be an option. Councillor Fennec?
I did struggle to find anyone who had fines less than $500 on a first offense in Ontario. So I would propose if we could have like a different structure for first, second, and third, is to start at 500 and then have the second in the four figures, you know, over 1,000, and the third at a level that is punitive.
You're not allowed to.
Sorry?
I don't think we're allowed to impose fines that are punitive, right?
Well, maybe that's a little bit strong term, but that are discouraging. Let's or a word you used earlier, and I forget.
Councillor Nicol, I did see you had your hand up. Is it in regards to the level of fines? Otherwise, I'll deal with that conversation as a whole and then come back to you. Is that okay? Okay. Councillor Federer made a point about the levels of the fines. Those are on page 46 and 47 of your package, if you just and 48 of your package, if you wanted to reference that. Questions or comments just on the fines levels? Councillor Resto?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, just a question to staff. I'm not sure if we have this information readily available, but are we enforcing this to what degree right now in terms of frequency? Are we collecting a lot of fines around this area? Is it something that we're dealing with? And I mean dealing with in a good way, like are we, in the sense, are we being brought forward a large number of complaints in this area where we're putting the fines into action?
I have to defer this to the fire chief, who is in charge of bylaw enforcement, who have better numbers than I would.
And how many noise complaints we're receiving, say, on an annual basis?
Madam Chair, noise complaints, I don't believe we've issued any part ones or any fines at this point. Other items we have issued part ones and part twos. But I'd have to look at what has been submitted through our control sheets to be able to give an exact number and what calls have been charged.
I think also one of the challenges, Councillor Restool, is the fact that the existing noise bylaw is from 2001 on this one. So we're dealing with a bylaw that's 25 years old. It was written just after amalgamation, and I don't think that it was written in such a way that it's either relevant in today's world or in such a way that it was really very enforceable to begin with. And so I think that that's one of the difficulties and one of the reasons why we're here discussing it now.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. I just was inquiring to see if it was something that was highly used or not. But I appreciate as well that we are making adjustments to the bylaw itself, not just the fines. And yeah, that's good. Thank you for the information.
Okay, Councillor Tadari.
I'm just curious. How do you deal with somebody that makes noise on purpose to aggravate their neighbors? Because we know of a couple. So bylaw officer goes there, gives them a fine. They continue. What happens?
We get another fine.
Can you?
You, Madam Chair?
Yes, thank you. Sorry.
So the procedure that we are currently following is in the event that we receive a service request or a complaint, we will do the investigation, do the follow-up. If it persists, then we will issue a ticket in accordance. And again, you have to be there to be able to witness it If it gets challenged and goes to court, then that's where you're gonna have to prove your case in comparison to their case. So depending on the situation, and again, most of this is open to interpretation. If it's an individual neighbor dispute, then what the one person may perceive as excessive noise to whether it be the bylaw investigator or others may not be deemed as excessive noise. So that is another challenge that we face when we're doing these investigations.
So how do you deal with that if it's past the hours that the bylaw officer works? I imagine that there's just daytime, 8 to 5. So what happens after that?
After hours, normally police would be contacted. They would go, again, they'd have a conversation with the individual that the complaint is filed against, asking them to be cognizant of the people around, especially at night. The sound will carry that much more than it will during the daytime. And from there, we may receive notification from the police that they've addressed it, or we may not.
Thank you. You can, sorry.
Yeah.
you necessarily use the information from police to form grounds to enforce.
Okay.
So.
I believe when we had the initial discussion, which was a couple of months ago, it was mentioned that some current bylaws had provisions where video evidence could be submitted.
Next on my list.
What's that?
That's next on my list.
Okay, and on your list of things, okay, so I'll let you speak to that because I know you've done a little bit more research, so Councillor Ferrer.
Can I just respond to Councillor Pelrice?
Please.
And in one case in particular, Councillor Pelrice, the reason that nothing can be done is because under the existing bylaw, the bylaw is ineffective. So if people are making a noise that is not listed as one of the prohibited noise, it's not illegal under the bylaw. So this is why it's urgent that we revise the bylaw, because the reason probably that we don't issue many fines under this bylaw is because of the bylaw.
Would you speak to the other piece?
Yep.
Or were you done? So are we comfortable with having an increased fine starting point at 500? And then do you want to look at a second offense? Again, 3? You want 3 stage? 3 stage? Is there agreement on that? Councillor Chief.
Not quite. Thank you, Madam Chair. So just a clarification to Councillor Ferrer's question earlier about the maximum fines that he was reading. Under Part 1, your maximum is $1,000 the municipality can issue.
Okay.
Anything above that has to go through a Part 3, which is a judge order or judge determination.
So under a noise control.
So a summons to court, whether it be noise, whether it be any of our other bylaws that we're discussing.
Thousands the maximum.
Thousands maximum we can issue under a Part 1 ticket.
Part 1 is amps.
Yeah.
The maximum for amps is.
I don't know.
I'd have to look it up, but again, the first conviction maximum for an individual would be $25,000. Subsequent convictions could be up to the $50,000. But again, that's through a court decision. That's not a decision. So any set fines that we establish on any of our bylaws has to get approved by the courts as to the maximum amounts that we're permitted to charge.
Councillor Ferrer.
I don't believe under amps that's the case.
Ramps, that's new, so it's going to be something that we would have to.
Madam Clerk clarified that generally your amps shouldn't exceed what would be allowable under POA, because if it did get appealed or brought to court, you'd get fight back on it. I'd be comfortable with having staff do the research on appropriate fines if we give the direct. If I'll just finish my sentence and then come to you, give the direction that we'd like to see slightly increased fine numbers and perhaps a tiered approach within what we're allowed to do.
I think what was being suggested was at the bottom of the tier be 500 and
Yes,
from there.
yes. Is that good on?
I was just
Okay,
gonna say, look, I don't have a problem with the numbers that are here, honestly, and then there is a second tier already in our fee schedule here, or. Look at number 12, I know typically the bottom of all of our fine numbers, but always, continuing to make them reasonable
Yeah.
after being more, so that is the second thing. I would like to see that one higher, not the 750 or 1,000, but I like the others. You just keep at this, and then if that stops, it stops. We'll see in a year or two if we get a bunch of fines coming out and they're not stopping. Then yeah, then you'll know you have to. But I don't really see. I see these numbers as fine, doesn't it? And you already have that second layer where you can issue an additional fine.
Yeah.
It's number 12, first table that's there.
Mhm.
And then number 9, this one, or on the last one.
Yeah.
And number 9 on the next two. That one I'd like to see higher than 500, because like if we've already given a $250 fine. And then you keep going to the point where we have to issue another fine, that second one within a 24-hour span should be $1,000 right there. But the initial one, it's fine to keep there, it may also be an education piece. Some people may not actually know right off the bat. They've disregarded the bylaw or whatnot. Well, we'll see if there's no fines that are being issued. I think we're kind of
Yeah,
eating this
for no reason.
too much for no reason until we get more numbers.
Okay, so now I just have two opposing recommendations, so I just want to get your direction from council. Councillor Friends indicating a wish to have increased fines tiered, starting at 500. So I'd just like to see appetite for that, and the other case would be leaving it as it appears now.
And bumping up the continuing.
Yeah, but maybe bumping up the continuing, like the. Okay, so who would like to see increased fines off the bat as discussed here? 2, 3, 4. I'll go. So we'll let staff do that within what they're permitted to do under the law and come back with a new recommendation on the schedules for the fines. Okay, next point.
Is what we were discussing before, so the evidence submission protocol. Just because in our case, we do not have 24-hour bylaw officers. We have 3, and they were defined. We were Ottawa with probably 80 working 24 hours. It would be different, but without the evidence submission protocol, and I'm not saying that it should, video evidence, although video evidence is accepted in some municipalities along with written laws. So I don't understand why we can't make it work if a number of others do.
So I would throw that to either Chief or Madam Clerk as far as, or Mr. Pilon as far as evidence submission protocols within the.
We are looking at that option currently through our, I will say, consultations with vendors with regards to technology and report management system, public intake portal. So there is a possibility for that to occur. Can't give you any guarantees that that's something that we would engage in, depending on if we're requiring that service, but it is certainly a possibility. I'm just not sure how we should necessarily handle this at this stage. We could include it, but if we don't include it and we do engage in this, I see that as a bit of an issue, but it would be essentially it would be an evidence submission portal for all different bylaws. It wouldn't necessarily be specific to noise. It would be essentially for any submission, whether it's property standards, whether it's a zoning issue, whether it's noise, any other sort of bylaw across the board. the hope is to, once we are into this modernization phase, that we do have that capacity, but I'm not sure that this necessarily needs to be included in the noise bylaw if we're going to have that option for all enforcement across our area. I'll leave that for your comment. Sure.
Okay, Councillor
I'd like to
Fennec.
address it.
Yeah, it boils down to an enforcement. So I do have a question because we touched upon the open. So at the moment, I just want to be clear about. If someone calls the OPP at 2:00 in the morning because of a noise complaint, will the OPP respond? And will they bring back the evidence to the municipality for the municipality to issue a fine under AMPS?
Yes, excuse me. For you, that is my information, and that's been my experience, that it will respond to noise complaints after hours. They can gather the evidence if, they're on scene and there's a large party. Usually there's a warning given. Any subsequent calls would be a return call from police, would be, the evidence just needs to be handed over. So they would request the actual police report, officer notes, gather enough evidence to lay a noise complaint charge under the bylaw. And our bylaw certainly can have that capacity and just need to include that evidence from police, be able to formulate that piece.
Councillor Fennec.
And now that we have 3 bylaw officers, will we have the capability, I'm not saying 3:00 in the morning, but will we be able to space out their day so that maybe someone can be on call from 6 a.m. And somebody can be on call a little bit later, so that we can try to somewhat extend the times that we can respond. Because in one case in particular, it happens between 6 and 7 in the morning. And, on one-off basis, can we ask our bylaw officers to respond early morning, late evening?
Through you, Madam Chair, I already do that with regards to, let's say, the winter control, right? Our bylaw enforcement comes in much earlier to deal with parking issues along the congestion of our downtown core, to assist our public works and effectively clearing the roads, because we do have that is an issue, right, during winter control hours, where they'll go in and they'll issue a number of parking tickets for people who are on street parking, non-compliance of the actual of the parking bylaw. So that already occurs. I think the plan and in our discussions, I know Chief Wilkin and I have looked at, and we will consider different scheduling options to really sort of to look to address. If we're having, if we see that we have a particular case where this is a recurring issue at a specific time, then certainly we can look to assign a particular member of the bylaw location to continue that investigation, perhaps be in a position to gather that evidence. So I think all of those options are on the board, and we can certainly manage those pieces if we have the proper information and if it's warranted. So yes, if you're asking for flexibility, we already do it. With the increased capacity, we do expect all of those options.
I'll just ask a question just so we can try to move it on. Is there any benefit in adding a section for just on the evidence submission saying, the municipality will consider evidence in the form of this, or this submitted by complainants? Like, does that need to be in a bylaw outlining that is acceptable? Because that's what you've seen in other samples. Correct. So is there value in adding a section there just from the people who draft these things, staff, whoever wants to answer that?
Through you, Madam Chair, we didn't find a lot of municipalities that do this. Some of them just have for example, Timmins, they just have a noise complaint portal, which lives outside of their bylaw.
Okay.
And people can upload a recording or people can, upload pictures or whatever. And I'm assuming their bylaw officer just goes and deals with them. I don't know how the enforcement works because it's not tied to a bylaw.
Okay.
But other than that, I suppose it would be subjective. The difficulty is verifying the veracity of the evidence submitted.
Okay.
On the basis of, what you said, or with regards to the OPP and regards to the flexibility, I think, I will forego asking for the evidence submission protocol, only because I can see that, it would take a long time, and I know that you would have to go back and do more research on how to make, I know that some municipalities do. And to be honest, I'd rather see the bylaw enacted sooner than later. And so, I'd suggest I'm not gonna ask for that.
And when some of the modernization pieces are done, if it needs to come back to have an amendment to include those things, that's always a possibility. Okay, so we'll move on from evidence submission. Councillor Larrabee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Do we have for the noise bylaw, do we have where the threshold is over or under? What's acceptable for the noise?
Where you gonna?
Because we have to measure. It's gonna be important in court, we go to court, that, we have a decimal.
Like a scientific, like a decibel.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard to prove what's loud to me might not be loud to you. I'm just saying, if you have a decimal point where it's below that, you're okay, but if you're above that.
I'll defer that to the chief. I don't believe that we have that technology and whether it's necessary or not.
Okay.
But I'll defer that to the chief.
Chief?
So through you, Madam Chair, we do not have that tool on the bylaw side of it. My understanding is, I believe building does have that tool for sound checks within structures. I would have to confirm that. Again, as Councillor Larrabee has mentioned, a lot of this stuff, until it would end up getting challenged in court, would find out as to whether it's going to uphold.
Thank you.
Councillor Fedor? Oh, I'm sorry, I'd like to go to Councillor Nicol because I missed your last time there. Councillor
Thank
Nicol?
you. Mine's on section 5 exemption process. Can we jump ahead to that or do you want me to wait?
Are you still on decibels?
Yeah, I was just gonna respond quickly.
I'll just let Councillor Fedor finish on the decibel levels and then we can go specifically to your questions. Thank you.
But from what I've seen is that municipalities have moved away from using that decibel level because that was difficult to pinpoint because decibel levels are different during the day and at night, and the difficulty of measuring with an instrument was difficult, and they seem to be moving away from that. The legal definition is a noise that is likely to disturb. That is the legal definition, and so of course it leaves it open to interpretation, but it's measurable in the eyes of the law.
Thank you. Councillor Nicol?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you. Section 5, under the exemption process, I was just hoping we could reinstate the previous reoccurring approved noise exemptions, and then we can request the applicants to provide a clear contact plan for the immediately affected neighbors. It could also be published on the municipality's website, and it could it would be easily accessible and should mitigate any potential noise concerns. And I feel like a lot of the previous exemptions offered economic benefits to our community, and they're willing to work together with the community, so I'd like to see them come back. Thank you.
Okay. So you said 5, but that's not, is that 5 on you?
I think that would be in the previous draft. It was specifically exemptions in the prior draft,
Okay,
which were removed in this bylaw. They were for recurring recurring special events.
Okay. We hadn't discussed that, but I will, open it up, and to see applicant there, Councillor Larrabee.
Yeah, thank you. I totally support this. There's some events going on that, yes, they definitely need to work on, and they are. That's what they assured me of, is we're looking at soundproofing the area as much as possible, and even, going as far as, you know, if the permit allows to one, then, they found some challenges because they were renting, so one event, especially, they were renting the property to another group, and the group would just go out of control. So they'd like to put measures in place so that group would get fined. So I don't know how that's going to work with the municipality, because usually it's the owner of the property that gets the fine. So anyways, he's trying to work something out. And also those events we're talking about is they have 4 or 5 events during the summer, and they have to be booked a year ahead. So for them to go ahead and book a year ahead and not knowing if they're gonna have the noise exemption, it's kind of putting them in a predicament with their situation. So they were asking if we could go back to the understanding that we had with, and they will have a better understanding of where their limits are. And it's very, very beneficial to the north part of our community. Field gets a lot of business from this. River Valley gets a lot of business from this. The festival in River Valley, they don't care much about the noise exemption. I don't think they ever did ask, and they don't need it, because at 11 o'clock, no more amplified music. And people are asking them to play more. So that's not an issue there. So, yeah, if we could revisit that decision that we took, and with, give it a year to manage and see how this goes. If there's any problem, then go back. But it's a very economic event for our area. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Larrabee. Councillor Restool?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I respectfully disagree with the multi-year approach. I don't think it's very onerous on the individuals to submit a one-page request to have a noise exemption. And if they are planning things a year in advance, then it shouldn't be any problem to include one extra page into the work that they do. I mentioned this when we had revised this earlier, or removed that section. When it gets into enforcement and you have multi-years, it can get cumbersome. Who has multi-years, who doesn't? What do you do to enforce? And I think, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Councillor Larrabee, but I think one of these groups, or one of the ones who we did have issues with excessive noise beyond what the exemption was, which was one of my concerns in looking at removing this and just going back to a very simple and straightforward per event, put your request in and it can be assessed. I think it's easier on staff to not have to keep track of who's got 1 year, who's got multiple years. And like I said at the start of this, it's not an onerous process. It's a one-page request that comes into council. And if these groups are planning their things years in advance or a year in advance, it shouldn't be any issue on them to put this forward. I think it makes it easier on staff from a management's perspective. And it does keep things cleaner, where we're approving one event all along the whole system. So that's my comments.
Thank you, Councillor Restool. Councillor Hillary?
Mayor, I agree with Councillor Restoll. If you have to apply yearly, then if you didn't apply the year before, then you can deny. So it's up to the owner to do his job and take care of the noise. The page that we got on page 55 just curious, is that property zone commercial?
Rural.
Rural. So we had a few months ago, Pride applied to us to change their property.
Not right. An individual.
An individual, okay,
An
who was,
individual property owner, like, let's just be clear.
okay.
An individual property owner through
Okay,
the planning advisory committee.
okay.
Yeah.
Who changed his zoning on his land to bring in bands or stuff like this? So that's what I thought. It wasn't zone commercial. So why was he allowed all these years and complaints from the neighbors to do those events without being commercial? That's a bigger point.
I don't have an answer for, I don't know that anybody will have an answer for that.
So yes, I do agree with the Councilor Resto. Year by year.
So if you're gonna add something different, if it's gonna be, I agree, we'll just put our hands up and,
I will add something different.
okay, thank you.
We're not, by not allowing an indefinite exemption, we're not refusing it. It's just the problem has been traditionally that they've been asking for a noise exemption to 1 o'clock and they just ignore it until 7 o'clock in the morning. And I want power to rest with council. And if we
Yeah,
give up that power by
Sorry.
giving it,
I just like to steer the discussion back away from, like, we're speaking about the bylaw overall. I know that there's a request in here, but I don't want to get into too much details about, specific, properties or property owners. Just, I understand, but, so the overall question is whether within the bylaw, we would like to allow, a section that would have, recurring or annual, exemptions on that.
I'm sorry, but there's a letter.
Yeah, I understand, but I mean, I know, I know. But I just, Counselor Nickel?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It actually says council can impose conditions. So could we not impose the condition that they provide a clear contact plan if they would like to have a recurring event? And if it doesn't work the 1 year, you can take it away the next year?
Yeah, I mean, that's possible. I'd just like to see where we are, like I am on that. So Councilor Gagné.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I'm in agreement with Councilor Resto and Councilor Fagan. I think it should be a yearly request. If there's any issues, it will limit our bylaw officers and our resources to that time. So if they don't follow, we actually don't approve next time their request comes in, and that's it. So
Okay.
that's my take on it.
Okay, so the overall question, and I'll get a show of hands, is whether we're interested, whether we would like to include referring exemptions in the bylaw. Show of hands for the positive. We would like to include recurring exemptions. Okay, so that's not going to be part of the bylaw, so it will be an annual application process.
And could we get on clarification on the annual, what it means? One time?
Like every year they will have, everybody
year.
will have to follow the policy, but it doesn't mean they can't do it in September for July the next year so that they have the exemption in hand in order to do their planning. It doesn't have to be 30 days in advance. They can apply for a noise exemption for August of 2027 in September of 2026. So, you know, like they have to go through the process the same as everybody else.
The clarification I was asking is because they have 4 or 5 events in the summer. If it's yearly, it's one time for all the events or every event they come back. So if you say yearly,
Well, I mean, they
one.
They could do it.
I'm just trying to get-
They could do it as one request with a list of dates. Or they
Okay.
could do it individually. It's however works for them. Councillor Westphal, I see your hand.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, I guess for clarification from and this is only my perspective, I would prefer if they did it by event. Because if we get into a situation where it's a blanket and we say that they have one application for 4 different events, and on event number 2, they blow their noise bylaw exemption, then what happens for 3 and 4? Then we have to, you know what I mean? Like, I just think it's easier if it's, I know we were talking annually or yearly. I guess for my clarity, submit for your event. And if you have 1, great. If you have 4, that's great. And I just think with that, you know, like Councillor Gagne mentioned, resources that we have with our bylaw officers, if you have 1 for 4 events, essentially you're doing almost the same thing as saying 1 for 4 years. If you only have 1 event, how do you keep track of those? I think it's easier, straightforward, if you have 1 per event, and you fill them in. I mean, time wise, what are we talking? Maybe 5 minutes to fill in a 1-page sheet. So it's not onerous on the applicant. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So generally, I didn't hear any specific amendments requested in this. Am I right? It's been a long discussion. Generally comfortable with the bylaws presented.
Yeah, I think the only coming back is fines.
Yeah, so the fines will come back. We can't approve the noise bylaw without so that will come back on the 14th as well then?
Just for clarification.
Yeah.
In order, we have to approve this bylaw
Mhm.
and concurrently we have to amend the AMPS bylaw at
Okay,
the same time. So we have to have this one fully under our belt before we can add it to the AMPS
Okay.
bylaw.
okay. So explain the process. Like,
So,
just tell me what
yes.
the timing is.
I
Thank you.
believe.
Okay, so the 14th, Charlie, will come back as a resolution with the fine schedule, or do you want to see the fine schedule before it comes as a resolution? If we can amend.
I'm fine with it coming as a.
Everybody's fine with coming as a resolution. If there are things in the fine schedule at the resolution, we can actually go through formal motions to amend. That way we actually get this on the books and move it along a little bit more quickly. Yes? Okay, well. 4.1.4, property files, we've got 2. One is the Thibault Street lot addition. These are both items that we've discussed before. There's a memo in your package. Madam and Mr. Pilon, do you want to open that?
Yeah, we had discussion previously. There's a few items here that Madam Clerk has requested, the council requested staff to do some further research with regards to land values and appraised value. And we're just bringing that information back, and I will pass that off to Madam Clerk to clarify as needed.
Thank you, Mr. Pilon. The first one is the offer to purchase by an abutting owner on Teal Road. See, there's kind of a spelling mistake in my memo. Flag-shaped piece of property. His property would be the smaller lot that's on fronting on Seaboard Road. He was requesting to purchase that property in order to realign a drainage course that runs along that north boundary. It was evaluated, council had asked whether to have it evaluated as a standalone lot, acknowledging that it's a lot of record, having only 33 feet of road frontage. And as indicating in value 45,000 at that, and as a lot addition value estimated at 25,000.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Okay, Councillor Feder.
Just a question, please, Madam Mayor. I mean, I don't understand how a property can have a value as a lot addition that is less than its value as a standalone lot, because I would think that it's if it has a value of 45,000 as a standalone lot, then it automatically, as a lot addition, it should be
At least 45,000.
Pretty much, I think the distinction is as a lot addition, you're still limited to the same uses and constraints as the original lot it's being added to. As a standalone lot, it could be built on as a whole, as a new development.
So when it's added to a lot, you can't build a new house like
I see.
do ARUs now, but the potential uses of it is what devalues it.
but to us, it should be worth. 45.
Yes. Okay, other questions or comments? So, Councillor St. Louis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One of the comments is whether to be sold to the abutting owner and or to declare it surplus. I know that there is other abutting owners, so I want to make sure that all individuals get an opportunity to have a bid or purchase of this land.
So for clarification, are we notifying just the abutting owners or are we looking at a full tender process where
The north of the property, is that not the cemetery?
no?
Okay, that is a private lot.
I didn't look at who.
That's up to council as
Yeah.
far as how you want to dispose of it. The first question is, okay, so if it's a lot addition, it would be sold to the person who's requested the lot addition. If we want to sell it as a standalone lot, then we'd have to determine whether we want to tender it or not.
Or in a previous, I believe one last year, I sent a letter to the other abutting owners asking whether they had any objection or interest in the property. As it stands, the frontage only, it benefits two properties, just the two that abut it on the north and the south. The one here actually fronts on the highway. But we could send a letter to all three, and if they don't have any objections.
Councillor Pellerin?
I really don't understand why we're going through. It's a standalone lot. It should be sold as a standalone lot. And get a bid process going. I don't understand why we would entertain a lot addition when it could be a standalone. It is a standalone lot.
Okay, Councillor St. Louis?
Real quick, Madam Mayor, I tend to agree with Councillor Pat. We've had numerous other lots that we've declared surplus in the past 2-3 years and put them out to tender. So at some point, if they're interest, then we can approach the abutting owners and see if they're interested.
And they're free to bid on the,
And they're pretty bid on.
okay, so I heard 2 or 3. Is that, I'd just like to see a show of hands. Is that how council would like to proceed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah.
So just for clarification, Claire's surplus, put it out to tender with a reserve bid of the 45,000.
Reserve of the 45?
Okay.
Okay, any other questions or comments on that piece before we see if we can end community before? Okay, pardon me?
There's one more property.
Simcoe Street, moving on to the next item.
And on the answer.
Okay, and so it's same kind of situation, questions or comments on that particular property, Councillor Resto?
Yeah, I'd just like to propose doing the same as what we just did for the previous
Yeah.
property. I think in this case, even more so. It's more central. It's a fully serviced lot. We definitely, I'd put it out as the other lot that we just spoke about.
Councillor, I mean, we just had the same discussion, Councillor St.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, just real quick, to me, I'm looking at this and like Councillor Bristol just said, you're talking about a fully serviced lot. And it's only $5,000 more than a lot that has no service, has no
It's quite small, I think, though.
Would it,
Anyway, I agree with Councillor Resto. I just find the numbers.
Same appraiser?
If that's a
Yeah.
phrase, that's what it's a phrase. Yeah.
by
Yeah.
professionals?
Okay, so Councillor Restal just proposes, we've had the discussion, same thing on this property, put it up for tender at the minimum price, at the appraised price, minimum, sorry, reserve of the appraised price. Hands, please. Okay. It's a bit of a natural place to, I know we're a couple of minutes early, 5 minutes early on our recess, but it seems like a natural place to break. So if we don't mind doing that, we'll do 10 minutes to 8:05. And mover and a seconder. Everybody. Councillor Rivera, Councillor Pellerin.
It is moved by Councillor Rivard and seconded by Councillor Pellerin. At 7:55 PM, a motion was tabled for a 10-minute recess.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Okay, welcome back. We are still in committee of the whole. Moving on to 4.2 planning committee. I will pass the floor to our chair, Councillor St. Louis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Under 4.2 planning, we have one item, which is 4.2.1, the zoning bylaw version 3. And I'll pass it to Mr. Pino to provide us additional information.
Yeah, I'll be brief. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be brief because we just discussed this yesterday, but so the appropriate, I believe, amendments have been made to version 3 based on the, the robust discussions that we had yesterday at our special meeting. And if you'd care to have a look, or if you still have any particular questions about version 3, we have our planner here that's available to clarify any specific issues. I believe everything that was included yesterday, other than I believe there was a request by Councilor Rivard to bind a few sections with respect to I'm going to say it's the septic and gray water piece. I don't know if you've had a chance to review that as a group. If there are any issues with proposed wording, I would refer back to my colleague.
Thank you. Yeah, through you. The version that you see here, we've done a red line so you can see very clearly where those changes are between version 2 and version 3. Just a point of clarification, this is the changes from version 2 to version 3, not the changes from what we had going into last night. So there were changes that everyone agreed upon last night, still shown as track changes here. We're making sure that we're consistent with from the document that was last released to the public. As our CAO said, we did make that amendment for the sanitary and gray water. Spoke with Conservation Authority this morning to figure out some wording there. So that in this version for you, it is that no camping trailer shall be permanently situated on a lot unless adequate sanitary services, being black water and gray water disposal, are constructed and maintained in accordance with the Ontario Building Code.
Yeah, this,
So it came via email today.
so we don't have the hard copy of the updates.
No, it'll be on it. Okay.
But yes, that was the only change that came in without that discussion last night. There was also just a minor change to the home-based business section, just to clarify how the habitable floor area is calculated if it is in an attached garage. As per previous discussion, and as we discussed last night regarding using camping trailers, we have a active building permit that was not clear in the language of the temporary use section, so that has been added in to reflect that discussion last night. Where you have an active building permit, you are allowed to use a trailer as the residence until you're at a point where you get occupancy for that residential dwelling. That would be all the changes that we've seen this one.
I'll open it to councillors to have any questions. Comments? Councillor Ferrin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You mentioned something about floor area with home businesses. Can you remind me what section that is and what the change is?
Yes, through you, that would be section 4.12. So 4.12.3, and we added in this version is D on page 54, which says that where a home-based business is conducted in an attached garage, you shall not occupy more than 25% of the total of the habitable floor area of the dwelling and the floor area of the attached garage. Just for a point of clarification, because of our habitable floor area definition excludes the garage, we wanted to make it clear that if you're putting it in an attached garage, that floor area counts towards the overall area that you're using to calculate that 25%.
That means the absolute floor area they can use will be higher.
Yes. So say, for example, you had a house that was 2,000 square feet and the garage was 500 square feet. You'd be allowed making myself do math here. You'd be allowed 25% of that 2,500, so 100 there, instead of just doing the math based on the 2,000.
So you're allowed more.
Yeah.
In terms of, okay.
Yeah, essentially the floor that you're actually using as your home business is floor that we count in
Okay.
the math.
Other comments? Questions?
Seeing none?
So this is the version 3 will be, can you please just, sorry, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. That's fine.
Approve. Well, can you just please outline the next steps?
Yes, so through you, now that we have council's agreement on what the revisions are going to be, the clean version that doesn't have it as track change will be posted on the website tomorrow, along with the schedules. And from there, anyone in the public is more than welcome to submit comments via email or use the form on the website or drop them off for copy at the front counter. And this is the version that we will be consulting on for the June 23rd open house.
And public input.
And public
meeting.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Back to you, Madam.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, 4.3, Economic Development Committee, and I'll pass the floor to our Chair, Councillor Farah.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one item, this evening, and I will pass it to Renee.
Mr. Chair, through you, a memo has been provided to council. Our Economic Development Committee did discuss the opportunity to house a correctional facility within our community. As directed, as council had requested them to do, they weighed the pros and cons. They discussed it at length. And following discussion, the committee is recommending to council to move forward and consider this opportunity, all while completing due diligence, both from an economic and social impact position. So what is staff seeking from council this evening is direction with regards to the West Nipissing Economic Development Advisory Committee's recommendation.
Well, I should let you open it for correct questions.
Okay. So this, if you remember, this is an item that I brought forward, discuss the annual delegations. And we decided to refer it back to the committee. I think what the committee have in mind is staff to look into it, look into the pros and cons. I think tonight is not about whether council wants to move forward with it or not, but I think council would like, hopefully council will want more information and the feasibility. So anyways, I'll open it to questions or comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This facility would be to house light criminals or the murderers.
Do you want to answer that, Mrs. Pilon? Because
Yeah, through you.
it's a little bit about prison system.
Surely. Yeah, I think the agreement and the discussion at the through the committee was that we would be looking at, so it was Premier Ford that made the mention of looking to bolster the capacity of our correctional services within the province of Ontario. So this would be a provincial institution. So not necessarily hardcore criminals, so more or less a day and a detention center than a disposition center.
I was at the committee meeting, and there was interest, particularly because it is a provincial facility, not kind of a hardcore jail. And I just the recommendation is actually to have come back and prepare a report that would kind of outline what types of facilities the province is looking to build, and just get an outline of what the project would look like overall. So we'd actually have something to discuss, have some facts on paper. It's by no means a commitment to move forward with the project, but just an interest in getting more information. Thank you.
Councillor Stool.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. I'm not opposed to requesting the information. I mean, we're not even at any kind of RFP stage or anything like that. It's just to look at a potential opportunity that may or may not exist. And I don't think there's any harm in at least exploring what a possibility might look like. So I'd support the request to go ahead and look at receiving the information.
Councilor Larrabee?
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. I'm totally in agreement with this project. Just how many employment would it bring to our area? City?
That's what we have to find out.
Oh, we don't have those numbers yet?
Well, haven't we spoken to a reliable source in the prison service? Apparently, a lot of those types of prisons that are being built are of the size that provide about 65, 70 jobs. And for about, that would house about 100 prisoners. This is what, and they're modular prisons, they can be built very, very quickly. But that's the type of institutions that they're tending to build at the moment.
Thank you. It's a positive initiative.
If there are no other comments, their staff are looking for direction. So along the lines of the resolution from the Economic Development, sorry?
No, I was, if you want to show a hand.
Already.
I was.
I was just.
Rest of all.
That's the direction you're looking for?
Yes.
Then on a show of hands?
Do they have a location?
No, not yet.
No?
Okay.
Yeah.
And I shall pass it back to you.
Have a place to sleep on?
Okay, one more item in committee of the whole, and that's 4.4 sewer and water committee. I'll pass the floor to our chair, Councillor Pellerin.
Madam Mayor, just pass it down to Monsieur Pilon, I guess.
Merci, Conseiller Pellerin. As you see, my colleague, Ms. Craddock has prepared a very extensive report on this piece, and we come to you not necessarily with great news, but out of this particular situation and incident, we had to engage in some significant repairs that I will say are outside of our 2026 budget. And we wanted to obviously bring this forward in the interest of not only making you aware of the situation, give you a really good summary of exactly what occurred, how it occurred, and the resulting need for repairs and costs, so that we can have a good discussion, but also get some direction from you with respect and some approvals with respect to funding this particular repair, which wasn't, as you can see, was very extensive. Some of these pieces in the Bay Street lift station was scheduled and budgeted for some repairs in this budget year. However, as you can see from a quick glance at numbers, those numbers don't necessarily match what was budgeted for. But we wanted the opportunity to have that discussion with you, answer any questions that you may have. And I will certainly pass this over to my colleague for further elaboration, I will say, and run through exactly what the impact is to the municipality.
Then, as Mr. Pilon mentioned, all this is just to sort of bring it to your attention. Our manager of water and wastewater did want me to clarify actually my opening line, that it wasn't that necessarily one caused the other, but just we had events starting at the Bay Street, a pump failure and this sinkhole. And then it with, as you get with aging infrastructure, you get this sort of cascading failure as one piece goes, the next goes, the next goes. And so when we initially got the initial failure, and you can see that it was sort of an unbudgeted number, but not an unreasonable number at the very initial failure. At that point, I talked to our CAO, I talked to our director, and our first response is, what are you going to do different with the rest of your year? That, to make sure you can absorb it. And then as you can see, with the continued failure of infrastructure, that the costs escalated to such that it cannot be absorbed within the regular operating budget on the emergency failure. We were running pumps and staffing pumps 24/7 for a number of weeks, while we were also getting the contractors in to actually do the repair. So it was quite a process. So as you can see, there's still some expenses coming in, but we've got sort of what was issued for PO. So we're the emergency repair portion of things to end up around $400,000 in repairs. Because it wasn't budgeted and it is more than, kind of just, cut back a little here to absorb within the operating budget. I'm suggesting that we actually authorize a transfer from the water and sewer general reserve in order to cover this cost in the current year. As Mr. Pilon said, with the capital portion, there was money in the capital budget in for capital repairs, both on the panel upgrade and on some ladder and guide work and stuff that allows our staff to access or contractors to access it safely. Again, with the situation that came about, it's suggested that in order to continue to safely access the Bay Street, it's not just a matter of putting in repairing the ladder. They have to do a retrofit of all the ladder and the guides and the lifts for the pump and all the rest. And so we have a total estimated cost of $174,000 versus $110,000 of original capital budget. And with when you have overages in capital budget, whether it's, something like this that's happened, or whether, we've gone out to tender and the amounts come in more on other projects and things like that, then we take a look at what's in the budget, how much extra room there might be sitting in reserves and things like that. In this case, I'm suggesting that, because we've got the deferral of the construction of the digester roof has been deferred into next year, and that we are anticipating refreshed and revised costs on the actual roof construction as opposed to the rehabilitation that had been in the plans over the last few years. That within the capital envelope this year, there is sufficient to absorb this project. It does mean that as we, rather than carrying 1.2 million in the deferred project forward for the roof, that, we'll just be carrying a little bit less of deferred money in reserve for the roof. But we're going to have to go and look for additional sources of funding for that roof in the 2027 budget anyways. So it's capital work, but it is sort of essential capital work because of the need to access that lift station in a safe manner. So as Mr. Pilon said, it's not good news, but there is at least a path out of the situation. What I did include at the end in the memo was actually the fourth quarter, the year-end final position from water and sewer. This council had just seen the projected when we were doing water and sewer budget times. And it's actually fairly close to what was projected because we did this budget later in the season, so we had a sort of a better position on where we were. So there is, coming from your 2025 surplus in water and sewer, there was almost 300,000 that was going to be transferred into the general reserve for water and sewer. So there is sufficient general reserve in the water and sewer budget in order to apply against the 400,000. And, we always have this discussion each kind of budget season, how much reserve should we have? What is the right number? And there's a variety of different formulas, for as far as what is kind of considered a risk tolerance in general reserves. But this is exactly the kind of thing that we keep those general reserves for when we have unanticipated failures that we need to be able to cover. I'll hand it back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Krause. Any other questions? Yes, Madam Mayor.
And maybe I'm missing it because there are a lot of numbers in here. What is the total draw from the reserve that you're looking to have authorized?
400, so sorry.
Is it like the 400 for the emergency repairs?
Yes.
Okay, and the 174 you can cover because we had 110 budgeted on that.
Yes.
And we can find the other $64,000 in other capital cost savings.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. so you're looking for approximately, are you gonna do the, because that has to come as a resolution to council to transfer from a reserve? And that will be at 400 even, or you're just gonna round it up, or?
If I may, Mr. Chair, before our next meeting, I'll get the sort of an updated number and we'll tailor the resolution to.
Any other questions? Back to you, Madam Mayor.
I would just like to say, on that part, I would like you to express our thanks to the crews that were working on that. I believe it was Easter weekend, if I recall correctly. And I did see pictures of, our very, very hardworking crews down in a hole that probably didn't smell very nice while their families were at home eating turkey dinners. And so if you could just, on behalf of council, send our thanks to the crews for the work that they did, in managing, that emergency, that would be great. Thank you. Of course. Okay, look at us through committee. We'll move on to our regular meeting. 5.1 is our consent agenda. Sorry, I just look coming you fast here.
It is moved by Councillor Pellerin and seconded by Councillor Larrabee. Be it resolved that the consent agenda for the council committee of the whole meeting held on June the 2nd, 2026 be approved as presented.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Next to 5.2, new business. 5.2.1 is proposed bylaw to close the Booth Street Road allowance. And so you'll read a
I'll read
resolution.
the resolution and then
This is the first time we've done this, so we're gonna get to the process just right here, so.
you want me to present the written correspondence that I've received before we start?
After.
Okay. It is moved by Councillor Pellerin and seconded by Councillor Larrabee. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-43 being a bylaw to authorize the closure of a portion of the unmaintained Booth Street road allowance lying between Mary Street and Anderson Street in Cache Bay, registered plan 31, shall come into force and take effect on the day it is passed.
Okay, Madam Clerk, I'm gonna pass the floor to you initially, if you can outline the legislative process, so council understands, because usually we don't have deputations.
Okay, thank you. The closure of a road allowance is authorized under this act and may not be effective until a bylaw has been adopted and subsequently registered in the land registry office. Our own bylaw for the disposition of municipal property includes provisions for the closure of road allowances and requires that persons affected be notified and be given the opportunity to provide input or comment on the proposed road closure prior to the bylaw being adopted.
Okay, and that feedback can be provided either in writing, which we have received written correspondence.
Yes.
Or
In person.
via deputation in person, and we do have some folks in the gallery this evening. Is there an order that I should go in as far as should the proponent of the requester be first, or I just wanted.
There's no.
Okay.
I suppose start with the requester.
Yeah, I
Begin
can do
the
that.
process.
So first, Mr. Primo. Yeah.
Do you mind if I, Madam Clerk, if she could just refresh our memory on the situation and.
Okay. Sorry about that. We had, I believe, 2 meetings ago, received a request from a property owner in Cache Bay who owns a piece of property which is located on the unmaintained road allowance. And it doesn't have municipal road frontage. It's a decent sized piece of property. You'll see it that it's shown on the proposed bylaw in your agenda. In any event, the request was to purchase a portion of that road allowance in order to provide municipal road frontage for the individual to have a driveway and bring services to the property if required. And council had at that time recommended that the road allowance in its entirety be closed. And that next steps would be undertaken once that had been effected.
Thank you. Other questions, just to clarify where we're at before we invite proponents? Okay, Councilor Gagné.
Yeah, thank you. Could we have the map shown up, please, so that we can see who requested what things and might be affected if we do this.
Oh, thing in it is the report, variance report. Wrong thing.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I'll just take it down there.
This one is best.
Screen. So the property, the owner's property is located right here. This is the portion of unmaintained road allowance that is being proposed to be closed. It runs from Anderson Street to Mary Street. Currently, it has never been opened by the municipality, town of Cache Bay. We did receive correspondences from residents here, well, from all of the residents who abut the road allowance in response, but that's the location. So currently, it's my understanding that the property is being accessed via, I believe, the church driveway, I'm correct, or the presbyterian?
Have permission.
Yeah, permission, however, that's just a temporary, because both of these ends would require a culvert to be installed in order, and some work done to the property in order to gain permanent access.
Okay, Mr. Primo, if you'd like to just stand and
Stand here.
yeah, we move the you can stand over there if you're more comfortable behind the podium, give it a little bit of a tilt.
Comfortable, my bad. I have copies of more detail of the
Okay.
area.
You can share those with council.
Is that? Yeah. You should have a copy, I think. I was going to address my in French, but
En français, et vous aussi.
is everybody okay with this? Mr. Resto, are you okay in French? Mrs. Nicol, probably not, right? I'll translate at the same time.
Bon.
Right? I'm trying to annoy. Vraiment, je veux juste vous remercier, là, chaque membre de donner la voix, de l'expliquer ou quoi que ce soit. Je veux faire ça brièvement, là. J'ai hérité la propriété derrière de l'église là, que vous voyez sur la carte de mon grand-père Chartrand, 32 ans passés. Okay? Donc, la propriété, ça fait peut-être 100 ans que c'est là. All right? Le problème, c'est que j'ai pas accès à mon lot. I have no access to my lot. It's a, how would I say that?
Landlocked.
Landlocked. It's a landlocked property, almost an acre. Okay? Therefore, donc, je demande au comité de regarder différentes options. Et les premières options, pour moi, j'ai proposé, j'aimerais acheter de la rue Mary Street, à ma propriété, comme indiqué sur la copie. Autre option, d'avoir la municipalité de maintenir Boom Street, où j'aurais accès l'année ronde à ma propriété, soit par véhicule ou par quoi que ce soit. Donc, c'est ça mon dilemme. That's my problem with my property. Y a-t-il des questions, comments, to get things started.
Question. Councillor Larrabee.
Thank you. Which option would you prefer?
Well, the option I would prefer is to buy from Mary Street to my property, which I know there's a cost. I would have to install a culvert, have it surveyed, have an estimate made, but I think that was already done, I'm not sure, and so forth. So there's costs on my part.
If I may, continue on this question, I would prefer that too. This way, it's your street. You fix it,
Yeah.
you maintain it.
My street, it would be. Right.
If you buy it, it's your street.
Right? Now, don't ask me what I want to do with it. I can't speculate. Right? Right now, I just want access to my property. That I inherited. I'm stuck with it. And also, I don't want my wife and kids to be stuck with it in my estate. On please solve for for this guy.
Okay, other questions, comments? Mr. Gagne.
Yeah, just questions. So, Madam Clerk, if we can bring back the map of the other properties that have shown interest. Because I think there's multiple properties.
For clarity, I'll provide you with the area, so it's a little clearer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please, yeah.
Although if I can continue. During those 32 years, I didn't really look into it because first of all, I was working full time. Doing renovation, wife, kids and so forth, right? So I was behind my mind. I've been retired for 4 years now. And I've been working on this document, I guess you could say, my property for the last 2 years through emails, discussion, reading, option and so forth.
This is the property of Mr. Primo right here.
Yeah.
This is the road allowance right here.
Yeah.
The budding owners here, down here.
Yeah.
Here.
There's been a petition going on, there's 5 individuals that have signed it. And they read the reasons. Being against an opinion, I don't want to insult anyone. A lot of it is speculation. One said, well, I want to buy, to me also, if I can add, it's like they want to block me off. One said he wants to buy a property, on Boot Lane from Anderson Street to a certain distance. Another petitioner mentioned he's interested in buying from Mary Street down to his property. So to me, right now, personally, it looks like they want to block me off. And that's not right. I think I have a citizen right, taxpayer's right to have access to the property. Which is again behind the same thing as that you got a church.
Yeah, Councillor Gagne.
Madam Clerk, can we bring back the map? Because my question in regards to the Monsieur Primo's request is that I'm just wondering, is there any current property owner that don't have access to their property like Monsieur Primo currently has? Is he the only one that is currently landlocked?
Yes.
I'm the only one, correct?
Okay, so for me, because we want to develop land, if he's the only piece of parcel, I would be in agreement to offer this property to Monsieur at a fair price so that he can develop that land. And forward.
I just like, before we begin, or before we continue, there is another property owner here to speak on behalf of the other residents. So I just want to make sure that we're hearing everything before we're coming to conclusions.
Yeah. That's
So.
my personal comment.
No, I know, but I
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
there is still another deputation to
Yeah,
hear,
yeah.
so.
And not knowing if people want to devise other parcel for other means, like Monsieur Primo maybe, but I think the request we've received, and I think it's a fair request at the moment. And that's my comment at the moment, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Just want to add also on my property, there's been a lot of trespassing. And also, if you look on the copy, you'll see on my property, there's a section, almost half of my property, which is almost an acre, has been cleared out. Down to where an individual is mowing the lawn on my property without me knowing. And also, when I had the survey done, I did ask the surveyors to put stakes along the line on Boot Laneway, and they were removed and never replaced. Okay, so I'm kind of insulted by that. Yeah, it was never. No one asked me permission to do so. They even cleared, if you look again on the copy, even cleared from Mary Street to my property and beyond the whole laneway. So I imagine 32 years ago or before, there were probably natural trees, shrubs, and so forth. But they went ahead, whoever did, and clear it out. Okay? So I don't know if they had permission to do so, but they didn't have permission on my property to do so. But they went ahead. They didn't even bother to see who owned the land, the property. Insulting.
Councillor Verity?
How long, if I may, how long of a laneway are we talking about from?
I figure about 0.4 of an acre. Date wise, I don't have the copies on me.
Yeah,
I
just
think it's
just to entertain the idea that maybe council would make a laneway and keep it. And you'd have, you know, because there seems to be loss in it.
I think it's about 500 feet long or beyond that, and I don't have the numbers. I'd have to look.
Just an idea.
Madam Clerk has the
Okay.
answer to that.
Through you, Madam Chair, the sketch submitted showed indicated 66 feet by 257 feet.
Long.
Deep, that would bring you to 33 feet into your property.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Right, that was the first request, but then I had the second one where
Oh,
you
yes.
bring me,
425.
yeah, would bring me to the iron bar on the south side of my property. Pretty long, was 66 feet wide, correct?
That's correct.
By, I think would be 470 feet. Which would bring me to about 0.46 acre, I think.
Any questions?
So. Let's see. So.
You are a landlocked right now. Correct.
You'll lead planning committee for a while. I think it's legal to make a, not landlocked right now, but it's illegal for us to make it landlocked. I was gonna say.
Other questions or comments for this gentleman? Okay, thank you all. We'll hear from the others. We'll continue our discussion. Would anybody else like to speak on this matter?
Hi, I don't know if you can put the picture back up. I could show you the land that we own. But no. My name is Tracy Judd, 17 Anderson Street in Catholic Bay. I own the 2 acres leading up onto the Booth Street allowance. And that was one of the main reasons we bought it, was because we were told at the time by council that Booth Street would be going through. So for future, we thought we would section off our lot and be able to sell it for our daughter to have something. But I just want to say I take great offense to Councillor Gagne saying you would sell the property now to him. And not take anybody else into consideration. That's not fair. Right?
Well, it's his request. We haven't received a request from you.
It's the first time it's on the docket.
Pardon?
It's the first time it's brought to our attention.
We were just notified that
Absolutely.
this proposed bylaw was coming up.
Yes.
We're opposed to the proposed bylaw.
Right, because we were told Blue Street would at some point be put in.
Okay.
And if you see how far back ours goes in front of his property. Which he has access to. The church is not going to be there much longer. Everybody knows that. That's another way to get into there.
Just, we'll hear from your.
You know, the reason he said everybody is upset, because he verbally told people he wanted to put sea cans in.
No.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
So that's what got everybody upset.
And that's.
But that's fine.
If the Blue Street Road allowance was sold, then we wouldn't be able to develop this 1 acre lot we have beside us that's 400 feet long. You could probably put 5 houses in there.
Right. So, well, I would have the same problem if I was to block off, take my acre, can split it up, that would make my acres, my properties landlocked. So I would have 4 landlocked properties. Which he said is not fair, is not legal.
And on the other side of the allowance, one of our neighbors, he has an L-shaped lot.
Oh, they got the,
That also abuts on the
Robert
Blue Street
Trudge.
allowance, yeah.
Yeah, so he's landlocked there too, on that side.
There is also a letter in the package that I believe has been signed by all of the abutting property owners indicating a position on it. And the position that's been put forward is not that any other individual property owner is looking to purchase, although I know we did get some initial expressions of interest. But a request that the road allowance not be sold for future development potential.
And can I just get regarding the stakes, I don't think anybody moved them. Everybody uses that for skidoos during the winter time. So
Still private property.
the Road Street allowance is not.
No, that's right.
That's what people use, and they are using it in the winter time. Mr. Spindley can attest to that probably. It's used quite often. And it would not take much to put it a proper road either.
So you both are signatories to the letter that council received as well. I see.
But I had contacted before that even came into effect. As soon as I got the letter, I contacted.
Okay. Does anybody have questions or comments for representatives, Councillor Pelletier?
So which lot are you?
We are 17. It's actually a double lot. We're built on 17, but we own the whole acre abutting Blue Street, all the way down.
The west side is.
All of this.
So on our map, it's lot 89.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Yes.
We're 17 and it's blank and then it's blue.
Well,
Yeah,
it-
blank.
It's on both.
Yeah, that's all our property.
Well, this is a plain question.
Yes.
So if he was to buy up to here, you could buy up to there, no? I don't know.
Or we can buy the whole thing if it's put up for sale, not just to one person. Right?
Well, I think we just heard that it's illegal for us to landlock someone.
Yeah, but we
Okay, but
don't.
if I section off my
don't sell it,
property,
He's not landlocked.
Oh,
We don't sell it to anybody who's not landlocked. What's the process? So, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna ask a question to our clerk or planner. What's the process for a gentleman like Monsieur Primo? If he wanted to request either a right of way or some kind of access through road allowance, or what would be the process if somebody, say, to subdivide their property and create lots and use that road as an access.
Madam Chair, typically, we would not permit development on an unmaintained road allowance. It doesn't have any services. The municipality could, the municipality is not obligated to maintain road allowances, but could be liable for failure to do so. The road allowance as it is right now is just sort of field and brush. I think it's passable by foot or by snowmobile. It couldn't change the traffic. There's just at both ends. So there would a severance application, as indicated, would not be approved or would not be recommended based on the properties not having municipal road frontage. In the question, you asked the question about what could the municipality do to accommodate the original request. Is that correct?
Well, it's, I think it's more complex than that in that, what would need to happen for it to become a road? Like, I know, do you know what I mean? Like, so, because I mean, I think these people are saying their lot has significant development potential. If you look at the size of the lot, you could if you wanted to make city size lots, you could probably make 5 or 6 lots along there. I'm just eyeballing it. And then the other property owner that's on the north side has a double deep lot. And there's nothing that would prevent that person from severing the back end of their lot to create a new lot that fronted onto a Booth Street. Like, so when we talk about from the official plan standpoint, talk about infilling in serviced areas. If we want to, if there was a desire by property owners to do residential infill in that area, what would it involve?
Through Madam Chair, lots of money. There right now, I'm suspecting due to what I know of the topography in Cache Bay, it likely wasn't opened potentially due to rock. It's very expensive to put in services through bedrock. But I don't know that. The municipality will have to undertake a full investigation, geotechnical investigation of the land, determine the feasibility and cost of installing services through there.
Okay. Councilor Pederi?
Okay, on that note, yeah. It wouldn't be the municipality that would bring the road and the services. It would have to be the owners of the land. If they say, okay, I want to make 4 lots on my lot.
That could be,
It's
that is an option council could, either way, it's going to cost lots of money. Because the municipality because it's our property.
Yeah.
It could be done as a local improvement petition where the cost of the project would be apportioned amongst the landowners by meter of frontage benefiting from that. That is a possibility as well.
Councilor Fedor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, I just have a couple of questions. You mentioned, did you say could be liable for failing to do so?
Well, it's not, it is currently still has the status of a public road, although unmaintained.
Yeah.
It still is a road. As like any of our other roads, should something happen to someone on it, like same as roads that we've potholed or whatever, we are still.
That kind of liability.
Yes, that kind of.
Okay, so I thought be liable because you were not maintaining.
No, if something were to happen and it was as a result of us not maintaining it.
And when you say lots of money.
I believe I will pass that to our treasurer, who is.
Are we talking so much money that it would negate any value in the lots that could be created?
I don't know, but when we're looking at putting water and sewer connections in, it's about 245 meters, 250 meters down the length of that. I mean, that's half of our Well, that's like our goal project probably, so it's $1 million before we get to road construction.
Plus potential rock removal.
Yeah.
If there is rock. And undo, I believe if there's one there. Possibly.
There's not $1 million worth of funds there.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much. Oh, sorry, Councillor St. Louis.
I was just waiting till the end. So just my 2 cents. First and foremost, if it's determined that we're going to sell a portion of this land, 100%, I believe that should follow everything else that we have done so far and put it out to tender. And people can bid on it. However, for myself, I don't believe that we should sell any of it, and I don't believe that we should close it. The province and everybody's talking about building homes, adding housing, blah, blah, blah. Yes, it is not an easy area to get to. However, the landowners can turn around, sell some of that land to a contractor who will take the initiative to come in and do it. I don't know, but I don't want to speculate down the road that if we decide to close this road, that now we are really, all these individuals are done. If we close this road, or if we sell a portion of the road and it's somebody else that purchases it, other than Mr. Pimot, then he is landlocked. So my personal opinion is that this should remain as is and open. And, you know, somehow, like Mr. Pimot said, yes, the church might sell at some point. And when that time comes, he can look into either, you know, having an agreement with who the buyer of the church or whatnot to have access or purchase, you know, the 33 feet portion to create a driveway to get to his land from whomever sells or whoever purchases the church. But I think personally, I don't think we should get rid of this road just because we have numerous owners that have access or a possibility to have access to that area.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience that would wish to speak? Thank you very much.
Resolution.
Any other questions from council for our Councillor Conley?
Thank you. So if we did give access to Monsieur Pimot with any other landowners, and if there's no services, what can be done with those piece of properties? There's no water and sewer.
That's correct.
But
Correct, there's no water and sewer.
no, but what can he do something with that property?
Without bringing in services, the options are limited.
And, okay, sorry, what about the septic system and a well?
Typically where services are available,
Well,
it would require an official plan amendment in order to install a septic system where water and sewer.
And is the property big enough?
It's considered, sorry, I know what you're trying to say, because it's in a settlement area where the area is serviced by water and sewer. Private servicing on lots within the settlement area, even though that property itself doesn't have servicing, because the servicing is all around it. By the official plan, by any kind of development standards, you have to hook into the municipal services if they are available. And it would be that lot, it would be deemed they are available because it's within a serviced area. Do you understand? Like, just because that one's not serviced, because the servicing is, it's a service settlement area. In order to utilize that land for any kind of development, the property owner would be responsible for bringing in water, sanitary.
Thank you.
On that note, I think you would have a really good argument of being able to at least for the septic. The water line's not too expensive. Bring to the street, but he could never have a short pipe to go to the street. It's too far, and he wouldn't have the grade. And you can't put a pump on his property to pump it to the street.
I mean, he could make an application, but it is an official plan amendment. It's not even a zoning bylaw or planning committee matter. Because those policies are outlined in the official plan, in order to be permitted to do that, it would have to go as an official plan amendment, and that's a little bit more complex process. But I mean, it's available.
So anyway, right now, he's looking to buy, to have access to his lot. To not landlocked. Up to the plans change, I think it goes up to the back bin.
That the initial request was just to the front, the subsequent email is right to the back pin, yes, the south pin, southwest pin.
I don't see a problem with this.
Any other? There's resolution on the floor. I'll have Madam Clerk read the resolution again. Oh, sorry.
Before we do
Yes, the same thing.
Are we talking about the resident? Or something?
To close the road allowance is what the resolution reads.
Oh, okay, to close the road allowance, not about the selling to whom or whatnot.
Not there yet.
Okay.
No, but understand that somebody did already that we cannot legally landlock somebody. So right now, the property is not landlocked because it fronts on an unopened road allowance. If the road allowance is closed, at least up to that front pin, I guess we could, anyway.
Sorry, to touch on that, and that's what I want to make sure that everybody here understands. If we close that portion, that's fine. And he's not landlocked because he'll have an opportunity to purchase that.
Yeah.
But I want to reiterate that we've been always saying that we're gonna put it up for tender to everyone. So then at that point, he might end up being landlocked regardless. That's my point, right? So if we decide to close this now, my personal opinion is we should follow the same rules that we've been following the last 2-3 years, is that we put whatever portion that we're gonna surplus, technically, because that's what it's gonna be, up to tender for anybody to bid on it. And at that point, he might end up being landlocked. However, if we don't close it, then he's not. That's just my point.
Okay, Councilor Jedi.
You know, do I understand correctly that if we close the road allowance, then we have no other choice than to sell him what he wants, because otherwise it's illegal to landlock him.
The municipality is not required to sell it, even if they close it.
But I've heard that we can't legally landlock someone.
So if we close it, is he not then landlocked?
There would be just municipal property. It wouldn't have the status of a public road anymore.
But he's
It would
land,
still be property owned by the municipality, which the municipality could entertain some other access if they wanted to, but it's a different conversation than what's on.
Now there's a bunch of questions. Councilor.
Thank you, through you. Not so much a question, but I understand where Councilor Stanley is coming from with the following the tender process and all that, but in this case, if it is landlocked, I wouldn't say that that's similar.
I want to clarify that the tender process, this isn't surplus municipal land. This is a road allowance. It has a different status than like a lot somewhere. Right now, this piece of land is accessible or can be used by any person
Yeah, I
in the
mean-
municipality.
So once it's closed, and then once, I do believe though that we would have to sell it to Monsieur Primo at that point so that he can access his lot. And then the other thing that I'm thinking of there is, I lost my train of thought now. Sorry.
Councilor Larity.
I support this train of thought. I know in this situation, I understand what you're saying. In this situation, we have land that we close it. I would make an exception. Instead of putting it to bid, have it valued and sell it to him so he would not be, because we still have liability on that, even though we don't maintain it. We still have liability on that. So let's sell it a portion of it to the front pin or the 33 feet from the pin and let the rest, buy the rest at what is valued at. So that way you're eliminating the risk of the municipality having ownership of it, and you are, giving, a gentleman his land, they have access to, and the other people too. And that would resolve them, all the problems.
Yes, sorry.
I just thought that it's not illegal to have landlocked property in Ontario. It's illegal to build on it, which is very different. And I find that you can't just sell it to somebody, piece of property. You have to put it up for 10. You could Google, it's not illegal to have it. I just did it. Is it?
What's your source?
That's okay.
What's
SB law. No, it's not. .ca.
But this way here, man, I don't wanna argue the point. You would have access to your land, he would have access to his land.
I'm sorry, opportunity to develop my land.
Our school's past that.
Yeah, ours was past his. So we lose the ability to develop any property. When we moved here, and bought our property, we paid for everything. We paid for everything to come to our house. We had no problem with it. We're willing to do that again when we subdivide. It's not an issue with us.
Okay, thank you.
But you keep saying it's illegal. Can you show me where it's illegal in Ontario to have landlocked property?
Okay.
What purpose does it serve to landlock someone?
Yeah,
Then I get landlocked and my,
Okay.
subdivide my
Just
property.
need to adjust through, like, speak to council and not to debate amongst each other. Um,
I do remember.
is there more information that you can provide that's gonna clarify this?
No, not really.
Okay,
I do remember my question.
okay.
It was.
I'm-
Yeah.
Sorry, if you'd like to speak, like you.
Okay, let's try to clarify. I'll say in English. There's speculation again. One of the councilors said, well, if the church is sold, then again, if, we don't know, could be sold tomorrow in 50 years. We don't know, speculation, right? Then also it was mentioned, well, if the church is sold, maybe Mr. Primo can approach the owner, see if he can make a deal with him or her. No, that's not the plan. That's not the plan at all. Plus, if you put it to tender, right? Let's say the Porsche I'm looking at is worth 50,000. Tender, well, it could go up, there's no limit, right? So I could be priced out of it and then end up with a lot that's worth nothing. Right? Not fair. It's not right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Pellerin?
Portion that the Supreme wants buy to have access to his lot. I don't see a problem with it to sell to him because it's the only land that's gonna be landlocked if we don't. And then the remainder of it, put it up for bids. Because there's still a big chunk going to Anderson that can be sold.
Mm-hmm.
So. I don't know. We can't landlock somebody.
Yeah, but he's not landlocked right now.
Not right now. And when he spends some money, can he do some work to get to his property? Have a driveway? Probably not.
That's a council decision. It's municipal property.
Yeah,
Just a
Councilor
real quick, Madam
Singh.
Mayor, that's why I was recommending leave it as is. Then he's not landlocked.
Well, we need a culvert.
I need,
Councilor Larrabee?
I'd just like to ask each and every one of us here at council, put ourselves in the gentleman's shoes, that you own that property and you would like to have access to it. Now, I'll leave it up to you, how you would handle it, if it was your property. Thank you.
Councilor Nicol?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, I was just wondering, the property beside number 17, are there any applications or plans to subdivide it and sever it, or is this just a down the road thought perhaps?
There's nothing current.
Thank you.
Okay,
I remember
Councillor Rivard.
my question. Thank you. It was more like, I know there was a comment about, say we only want to sell it to one individual, Mr. Primo, so that he's not landlocked for that property. And then say, then it's all in his hands to say, oh, well, now I just want to pay this amount or whatever. Would we be able to reopen the road allowance once you close it? That was just my question.
Yes, but why would you?
Well, then, because then it wouldn't be landlocked. Because if you close the road allowance, technically it is for long term until it's purchased, right? So that's just my thought, is if you can do that, and then it sounds like he's willing to pay a fair value for it, and then he can now develop. So it's not like it's not landlocked right now, but it is landlocked for development. You can't build a home there, you can't do anything because there's no road access or any access to the property. So it technically is landlocked for development. As much as we can say it's not landlocked because there's a road allowance going through, just a walk this property where there is no chance of there ever being anything on that property. So in my mind, this is the simple thing. You would sell him something so he can access it, so that he can develop his property that's already been owned and probably paying been within the municipality for a long time. And then the other portion, do as we see fit for that portion, which still remains access to other property owners' properties. And we're not going to be able to please everyone, but this is the best of both worlds in this situation.
Hey, Councillor Restool.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just wondering, listening and learning from everyone around the table, your thoughts and our guests as well. Why, I don't know, this in my head seems simple, but it's probably not the right answer. Why can't we just split the road allowance and have each owner buy their portion so they can both reach their land and develop their land, and the issue goes away? I don't understand why, if I'm looking, and I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, let me know, but I don't know for the second group that presented why they need to access from Mary if they own property that abuts Anderson. Unless I'm not understanding the discussion correctly.
Yes.
We're trying to make the best of the situation here. I understand if there's one piece of
The
land
problem,
further north.
sorry. The problem is that our property goes halfway past his property. So if he buys all that property, then I can't access the end of my property. That's the problem. Like,
You could access through
our properties, but if we subdivide it and put lots in there, our lot finishes halfway through his property. It's not straight lines.
And I'll just add that when you look at the map, there's also an additional property owner that has an L-shaped piece where a large portion abuts on the south side of that road allowance. I believe that property owner is also a signatory to the letter. So if you sold to them, then that person would have access.
Thank you. Real quick, Madam Mayor. I think to answer Councillor Restool, it's not that the individuals are looking to purchase on the Mary portion. I think personally, they would rather have a road all the way through, right? They're not looking to purchase on Mary. I know what you're saying. If they're living on Anderson, why would they want access from Mary? However, I think their thought is they would like to leave it as is, correct me if I'm wrong, so that in the future, if a road is put there, or if they decide to develop, then they have access. Because right now, if they were to decide to develop those 5, 6 lots further down, well, now they won't be able to because Mr. Primo will own a portion of that road.
Okay, other questions or comments? And Councillor.
So what I took from this is that it's would appear uneconomical to develop either property because of the sewage problem. If you can't bring sewage to Mr. Griveau's property, then you can't, and it's uneconomical to put a road so that the other owners can divide the lot in 5. I'm wondering, what's the point? It's not like we're gaining a property that was gonna bring in tax because it has a house on it. Don't see that any of this is developable. Because we are not going to invest in reopening that and maintaining that road allowance and running sewer and water for the sake of 6 lots. Right. So I'm kind of in agreement with Councillor St. Louis, just leave things the way they're going.
Okay, Councillor Resto.
I just want to say, appreciate the clarification provided. You know, again, don't fully understand, you know, the lot situation, that type of stuff, but I would definitely agree with Councillor Fedak. I don't have an appetite to spend whatever it might be, $1 million to put a road in for service for lots that quite likely might not be able to even be serviced. And I in my you know, historically, I look at some of the discussion that we had wasn't residential, it was more industrial, but we talked about developing another area of the municipality, and there was a large cost to develop roads and infrastructure to put in that just didn't make economical sense. So for me, in my opinion, I'd probably be sitting at the same place here at this current time. If we can't come to something where you know, our parties can agree and there's disagreement there, I support Councillor St. Louis' position and just leave it as it is for the time being.
Okay, so unless anybody has anything new to add, Councillor Gagne.
Thank you. So my question is, if we want to see to accommodate all landowners to be able to develop those lots, and we don't want to do it, what are our options? Like, can we flip it into a private road?
If the, no, probably not. The municipality, if they, if the municipality is not willing to undertake the capital project, then the only option for them would be to bring the road up to standard and bring municipal services in at their cost. That would be the only option for any of them to divide lots. The current Mr. Primo's is already there. It's already a lot, but in order to make new lots along that, they would have to make a road, bring in services.
So could that be an option to get an estimate how much it was cost and send a letter to resident and say?
I think Ms.
That was really just based on stuff we've seen this year. I don't take that as a hard estimate.
I believe, and I'll defer to Ms. Henning over there, but I think that we would even to give an estimate, would have to undertake a full geotechnical engineering study to find out what the ground conditions and if it's even doable. Well, everything's doable. It's just how much.
Okay, Councillor Larrabee.
Thank you. I'm in agreement with Councillor Duval's comment is that lot is landlocked. Whatever, you can't do nothing with it. Maybe you'd like to build a cabin or whatnot, you use a hothouse, you know, for septic system. So he can't do nothing the way it is. So I would be in agreement to sell half that road or whatever he needs to his property and the other section to the other. And that would appease everyone and we would be out of the responsibility of that road completely. Because we still have liability on that road if something was to happen.
Does anybody have anything new to add? Okay, so there is a resolution on the table. I'll ask Madam Clerk to read
So,
it again.
and just for
because it's been a while.
clarification, the resolution on the floor is
For the
simply
close.
to close it. It's not dealing with the disposition. It's just to close it. It's not disposing of it at this point. It is moved by Councillor Pellegrin and seconded by Councillor Larrabee Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-43 being a bylaw to authorize the closure of the unmaintained road, Booth Street road allowance lying between Mary Street and Anderson Street, registered plan 31 in the town of Cache Bay, shall come into force and take effect on the day it is passed.
Okay, questions or comments? All in favor, please raise your hands. 4 or 5, that passes. Bylaw carries, thank you.
So the next, I'll just quickly, the next step would be to close the road allowance, register this bylaw in the land registry office, and then come back to council for further discussion on disposition.
Okay.
The,
I mean, that's.
but I
that's
don't,
what we
I
just
just
did.
I was gonna say, but I,
resolution, right?
no, all we did was close it.
Okay,
We didn't dispose of it to anybody.
okay,
That's it. That's a conversation that can come back at a later date.
okay. Okay, next item on the agenda.
And the road closing by. It's moved by Councillor Larrabee and seconded by Councillor Paladin. Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-44 being a bylaw to authorize the closure of the unmaintained North Coast Street road allowance lying south of Sapwood Road, registered plan 35 in the township of Springer. Through you, you will recall, I brought this one and I'll just quickly share my screen. Where is my Zoom screen? We had brought this, we had initially started with an offer to purchase from one abutting landowner, which then moved into a request from another abutting landowner. And I believe the third abutting landowner to this, so you'll see there are 3 abutting landowners on the east side who have expressed an interest in the property. And 2 are not here tonight, have no concerns. And I believe Mr. Campner, who is the owner of that most southerly piece.
Can you put that up on the screen?
I'm having trouble with screen sharing at the moment.
Okay,
Fighting with me.
can somebody show me this? My
Well, it's on, if you,
iPad.
your iPad, and
Sorry. I got it.
so. So this piece, this is the road allowance. This piece was here, this piece was here. This is-
Okay, are you finished with the picture or?
Yep.
Nope. Questions or comments? Or sorry, did you want to speak?
Oh, I'm all in favor. I just wanna let everybody know that I'm interested in that chunk, like that she said, right? Cause I also inherited that land from my grandparents, right? And it's kind of sort of landlocked. There's a bit of a road allowance there, and I wanna develop that land. It's quite a piece. It's about 4 or 5 acres.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, there's a resolution on the floor.
I made it work.
Okay. So we're selling red to somebody, blue to somebody, green to somebody else?
That's correct.
Red to 564, blue to 534, green to
Unaddressed piece.
unaddressed piece of land.
Is on pressure.
Okay, this is just the closure.
This is just the closure.
Okay, so
Oh, we
there's a
did-
resolution on the floor if there's no questions or comments.
And everyone's in agreement?
Okay, thank you.
So all in, so resolutions on the floor, I'll call it to a vote, all in favor? It's carried, thank you. It's nice when everybody gets along. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, that was a long meeting for like 30 seconds.
That's okay.
Sorry.
I just want everybody to know that somebody does own that land. I intend to do something with it. I have a blaster, I own a drill and blasting company, so I wanna do something with that land.
Perfect.
Oh, somebody probably.
I look at it. Yeah.
Okay.
He'll be back.
Okay, so we have 2 proclamations.
So I can go.
Yeah.
It's moved by Councillor Fedderly and seconded by Councillor.
I told him. Sex goes out.
Coming back.
Yeah.
It's moved by Councillor Fedderly and seconded by Councillor St. Louis. Be it resolved that Council for the West Nipissing Municipality hereby declares the month of June 2026 as Pride Month in West Nipissing.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? It's carried. Thank you.
It is moved by Councillor St. Louis and seconded by Councillor Ferrand. Be it resolved that Council for the Municipality of West Nipissing hereby proclaims May 31st to June 6th as National Accessibility Week in the municipality of West Nipissing.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Now we'll move on to the addendum. The information was on your desks.
Municipality, and whereas the municipality West Nipissing has entered into a license agreement with the Sturgeon Falls Rod and Gun Club respecting the use of the municipal lands described as part of Lot 11, Concession 5 in the Township of Springer. And whereas the license agreement has been amended and extended from time to time. And whereas the Sturgeon Falls Rod and Gun Club has requested a further 2-year extension of the agreement from September 1st, 2025 to August 31st, 2027. Be it resolved that the Council for the Municipality of West authorizes the mayor and chief administrative officer to execute the extension agreement between the municipality and the Sturgeon Falls Rod and Gun Club.
Are we not in September 2026 now?
Yes, but we have to pick up from where they left off.
Oh,
They come back in time.
Okay, I thought, and wasn't sure that wasn't just a typo. Okay, so any other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor? That's good. Thank you. We are running close to time. Do you want to do the motion to extend curfew now and then closed session? Or we can go into closed session and do a motion. No, I'm not. Nobody wants to hear me talk. Or Councillor Restool?
Just process, do we have to log out and log back in for the close?
Yes. I will, actually, I discovered last week, I can pause the recording and create another, I can stop the recording without stopping the meeting. Yes.
So
It's-
motion to extend, which needs to pass by 2/3.
Need a mover.
Oh, need a mover and seconder, please. Councillor Rivard, Councillor Restool.
It is moved by Councillor Regard and seconded by Councillor Stool. At approximately 9:27 PM, a motion was tabled to extend the meeting beyond the regular curfew in order to proceed with the agenda.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Sorry, this one I do need to see hands. All in favor? Okay, well, they were all kind of fast. Okay, that's fast, thank you.
It is moved by Councillor St. Louis and seconded by Councillor Ferrand. Resolved that we proceed into closed meeting as authorized in section 39(2) of the Municipal Act to discuss the following. Proposed pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality.
Okay, questions, comments, all in favor? Okay, we'll just pause for 6 minutes. Thanks, Liz.
Thanks, Liz. Bye, Liz.
Are we not recording anymore? I'm fine.
But I'm not speaking.
Sorry that we can.
Thank you.
Go home.